everyone. So I'm down on the back patio again because it's a little bit of a warm day here in St. Louis. Charlie is joining me again because he's Charlie and that's what he likes to do. The ducks are also down here. You might hear them in the background. And today I got enough of my sweater seamed, although not completely put together, that we can start picking up for the button band, and I can talk to you about that and show you how I pick up for a button band. What else do we have going on? I don't even know. So there's still clearance because we are still making room for some of the things that we bought. We do still have that fabulous Handmaiden in stock, and if you don't see quite what you want, we do still have the pre-orders going on. Tina still has her t-shirt knit along and crochet along happening. So if you are interested in making a t-shirt, you can join her on Fridays. What else? Let me see. Yeah, Charlie was laying on everything. So I picked a few beans from my big pot. I don't know if you can see it, but I have a big pot right there with some cucumbers and some bush beans in it. So I was picking a few beans just before I came on. So the garden's still going decently well. Let's see. So today we're going to talk about the button band, and then on Wednesday we'll talk about fit and how to change things if you need to change things a little bit on your sweater. And then we can also talk about like pattern mashups and things like that. Let's see. So for putting the button band on your sweater, you do of course need your sweater, and here you can see, look, I did get one sleeve set in. I still have not finished the cuff. It's still open, so I have to do that yet. I did get this side seamed, and that's why I can go ahead and show you how to pick up for the button band today. If I was doing this properly, I should have the whole thing seamed. Like the sleeves should be set in, they should be seamed all the way down. If I was doing this correctly, and I'm not because I'm trying to just get it ready to demonstrate for you, it should all be sewn together. Like the whole thing should be sewn together, and then I would be using my contrast yarn here and picking up and putting on my button band. But in the interest of showing you how to do it, we are just going to go ahead with whatever I have done. And I keep trying to get my tablet to change, there we go, directions, so that I can see any comments. What do we need to do our button band? So we need our yarn, and in this case it happens to be the band color. It's the contrast color for the red. We also need our needle. So in a lot of my patterns, because I am working with a finer yarn, I don't recommend going down a needle size, but if you're working on a worsted weight sweater, you may consider going down a needle size, making your button band a little bit tighter. But because this one has, I believe, a ribbed edging. Oh, and Charlie has joined me once again, so I apologize for the shaky. He's just decided this is where he'd like to be right now. Let me see here. Yeah, so because I have a ribbed button band on this, I would like to stick with the same needle, Charlie, quit, that I used. Oh my gosh. Charlie, stop, shoot. In making this sweater, and of course Nikki is the one that started this sweater, and of course then Nikki's the one that started this sweater, so I have to do my best to try to match her gauge a little bit. There we go. And I've instructed you in this one to pick up 12 stitches in the ribbed edge, place a marker, etc., etc. So that's the other part of this that's really important, is you need to make sure that you have your needles, but you also need to make sure that you have stitch markers. The stitch markers really help you in my patterns. I try to put them in to denote sections, to help you find pieces of a pattern so that you can more accurately recreate it to your specifications. So stitch markers are super important, so are your knitting needles and your yarn, and then of course so is your sweater that you'd like to put the button band on. As before, I have notes in my pattern where if you are not really interested in making a button band, I give you instructions on how to make a zipper casing instead, so that you have two pieces that sit on each side of the zipper casing. There's the longer button band edge, and then there's an inside casing that will fit like this because it's a couple rows shorter. And you can sandwich your zipper in between and then either hand sew or machine sew that down. If you machine sew, I do recommend a walking foot for that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and turn this around. And there's Charlie, clearly taking up like the entire table. Thank you so much, Char Char. And then here is our sweater, and I apologize. It's gonna be a little bit shaky until I can get this locked in place, and hopefully this will be all right. Okay, so let me find the bottom edge and shove Charlie a little further away. Go lay over there, thank you. So here we are with our bottom edge of our sweater, and this is where we're going to start picking up. And for all of my sizes, it says to pick up 12 stitches along this ribbed edge and then place the marker. And then depending on which size you're knitting, then you'll pick up more stitches along the front edge, which goes all the way along here, all the way, whoops, along this front edge, all the way up to this this corner, because this is where the neck then starts, where we'll place another marker right here, and that again, that is, you can see that neck edge and that point right there, neck edge and point, very important to know where that is. And then we'll pick up more stitches. I will do my best to pick up stitches and show you as much along this edge as I can, but it's a lot of stitches. It's a lot of stitches to pick up because this is a fingering weight sweater. So we may not do the whole edging, and then I'll just talk about some of the things that are important. Now I used a US 3 when I was knitting this myself, and that's what I am going to try to do. Let me see if I have a size 3. I think this is a, yep, size 3. And that's a signature. And with this sweater, we pick up the button band all the way around, which is also why it's really important that you're setting your stitch markers in. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to pick up my stitches this time. I'm not actually going to knit them or knit them in pattern until I have picked up all of my stitches, because I want to make sure that as I go along that I'm picking them up correctly and that I don't lose count because I'm trying to knit at the same time. So when picking up along this ribbed edge, there's more than 12 stitches here, right? There's definitely more than 12 stitches here. And that means that we're going to have to do like, pick up one, and then maybe skip one, and then pick up two, and then skip one, and then pick up like two more. What have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, I don't like that. Let's pick up two, skip one, pick up two, skip one, pick up two more, and we'll skip. That was not a good pickup. Still not a good pickup. There we go. Something's not right with this stitch. Okay, I'm going to skip that stitch because I don't like it. You can do that too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Skip one, do 7, 8. Skip one, do 9. Let's skip that one. 10. This one's a very big stitch, so let's do this one and that one. So there's 12 stitches. And it looks a little funky, but I promise that when you start knitting this, it won't look quite so crazy along that edge. Any questions? No, no questions yet. Okay, so the next part is place a stitch marker. So these are great little stitch markers. We sell them at the shop. I think it's $2 for a 12 pack. They're nice, they stay put, they're great little closed rings, they don't get caught on anything. We love these stitch markers. I have lots of these stitch markers. And now we're going to pick up 90 along this long edge here. So I'm going to try the same thing where I kind of do pick up 2, skip 1, because I know that there's more than 90 rows along here. So I'm going to skip this very first red stitch just for ease of picking up. And a lot of this is just eyeballing it. So I've picked up 2, I'm going to skip this stitch, I'm going to pick up 2, skip a stitch, pick up 2, skip a stitch, and I'm going to keep doing that because I suspect that this is going to work well. Now, you might find that with your row gauge, if it's tighter, you might have to like pick up 2, skip 1, pick up 3, skip 1, pick up 2, skip 2, whatever it is. I don't recommend skipping more than 2 stitches though, because you'll find that you have too much of a gap along your button band edge. You may also find if you have a looser gauge that, a looser row gauge that is, that you'll be able to just pick up all the way along and you won't have to skip any stitches whatsoever. Okay, so what's this looking like? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 22. And, I think I'm going to have to change this. So I'm going to back this up. See how this works? So much fun. I'm going to back this up. I'm going to do 3, skip 1. So I think... So 1, 2, 3, skip 1, 1, 2, 3, skip 1, 1, 2, 3, skip 1. I think that's going to be a better fabric. Skip 1. Yeah, that's looking better. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. All right, skip 1. And this right here. This is how you just pick up along this edge. And you keep going until you have the total number of stitches that it calls for. And you may find that as you get closer to the top that you pick up, 4 stitches at a time and then skip 1. Skip 1, 1, 2, 3, skip 1. 3, skip 1. So there, we're just going to keep picking up and sliding these down my needle, and then I'm going to keep adding in my stitch markers as I come to each point. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to do it all the way around this whole sweater, all the way to the other side. And I'm just going to cram it all on my needle because I don't really need a ton of room. I think this is a 24 inch. I think this is a 24 inch, isn't it? Let's see. US 3. Oh yeah, it doesn't even tell me. It just says it's for my US 3. I think that this is a 24 inch one. Anyway, I'm just going to cram it on this needle because it doesn't matter that it's crammed on this needle, because what I'm going to be doing is just very simple knitting and purling. And on my first row, I'm actually going to knit through the back loop and purl through the back loop. And then I'm going to do that, slipping all my markers as I come to them until the very last stitch, when I will knit one through the back loop. And then I'm going to switch, and I won't do that through the back loop anymore. The only reason I did it on the first row is that I wanted to tighten up all of these stitches. So I suppose I should show you how to knit through the back loop and purl through the back loop really quick. So I have not picked up all of my stitches, and I'm just going to show you really quickly a knit through the back loop and a purl through the back loop really fast here. Because again, I need to pick up all of my stitches to make my button band. I also need to finish seaming my sweater together. So for a knit one through the back loop, your yarn should be in the back of your work and in the first stitch, which is oriented correctly. There we go. I'm just going to knit through the back loop. When it comes to purling, you bring it to the front, but you work it through the back loop like this. And then we're going to knit one through the back loop, purl one through the back loop. So the key really is that you, instead of working here where this is a regular knit stitch, you're going to work in the back leg, and it's just going to twist the base. It's going to twist the base of all of these stitches. Same thing with this purl through the back loop. Instead of purling here, you'll purl off the back leg, just like that. And you'll just keep going all the way around on that first row. Okay, and now I'm going to undo what I have done so I can keep picking up stitches. Okay, when it comes to the buttons, so buttons, I always make my buttonholes first, and then I go buy buttons, because I find it's much easier to fit a button to a buttonhole than the buttonhole to the button. It's a lot harder to find buttons that you like. You can adjust the buttonholes on this pretty easily, because it's just a matter of binding off and then casting on stitches on the next row. There are different methods of doing buttonholes. I just tend to use the cast off on one row and then cast on the next row. You don't have to do that. Yarn overs work pretty well. There's some cabled buttonholes. There's all kinds of buttonholes that we can work. And when I get to that point on that sweater, on this sweater, I will show you. It's going to be a little bit until I get there. Just because I still have seaming to do before I can even make my button band. And then when I put my buttons in, let me turn this back around. So when I put my buttons in on my bands, what I always like to do is I make like a button sandwich. So what I like to do is I take the button on one side that is my pretty side and my pretty button, and then on the back side I just put a plain clear button and I sew them together so that it's a button sandwich, so that it gives that button a little more stability. And it doesn't pull on the fabric as much because it has two buttons, right? Two buttons on each side that have that fabric in between. So that's how I like to do my buttons. I have a cheap pack of clear plain buttons that I use as my backing button, if you want to think of it that way, the back side of the sandwich for my button, so that when I am putting my buttons on, it allows my fabric to not take all of the weight and the pull of the button in the front. So the fabric doesn't unravel as easily and the buttons don't come off as fast because they have another button in the back that's holding them together. So that's my biggest tip when it comes to putting buttons in a garment. And you do have to pay attention to whether or not you have 2-hole or 4-hole buttons, especially in the back, because if you have a 4-hole button in the back and a 2-hole button in the front, they don't, 4, there we go. It's just a different number and it's harder. It's just harder. It's not impossible, but it's harder. So always try to match it up, put a 4-hole button in the front and the back, or a 2-hole and a 2-hole. You can use a shanked button in the front and a 2-hole button in the back. That works better than the 4-hole button, but it's really up to you on that point. Excuse me. I've been talking and I'm thirsty. And I didn't bring my water down because I just wasn't that smart today. let's see, what else do I need to tell you about? So if you decide to do a zipper instead of a button band, because you can change that on any sweater, all you have to do is just knit, go ahead and knit your button band, and then right along that ridge where you have picked up all of those stitches, there'll be a ridge right here on the inside of your garment. You can actually pick up stitches along that ridge on the inside and just do a really simple knit purl band, a stockinette band on the inside that you would bind off, and just do it 2 to 3 rows fewer than your total number of rows for your button band. So if your button band calls for 8 rows, do 6. If it's 10 rows, do 8. Because what that will allow you to do is when you make your zipper sandwich and you take your pieces, and this is my zipper now. I know, lots of fun bad visual aids today. When you put your zipper in, what it allows you to do is make sure that the zipper edge sits, and so you'll have the proper button band edge here, the zipper, and then the shorter stockinette piece behind it, so that your zipper doesn't get caught as easily. You don't want to make them the exact same length. You want to keep them just a little bit offset so that the zipper will sit in there and will zip nicely. So that's my tip for that. And when I get to that point where I'm making the buttonholes, I'll stop and I will show you how I'm making the buttonholes. And I will grab one of the sweaters that I've done with a zipper so you can see how I put the zipper in. I call it a placket or a sandwich, but however you'd like to think of it. Does anybody have questions about button bands? Button bands? Button bands? It's kind of hard to say. No, I don't see any questions yet. Okay, and this, if I didn't already say it, this is my Madge cardigan. If you are looking for a lightweight sweater done in pieces, this is a fun one to knit, and it's knit in our Kokomo Yarns Guilin, which is a bamboo merino nylon. Has great drape, super comfy, and it takes, if you're making like the 30-inch, which is the smallest, then you're looking at like maybe 5 balls of yarn. They are 224 yards each, so you need 1 in your contrast and 4 in your main color. If you're making the 3XL, then you're looking at about 8 balls of the main color, about 2 balls of the contrast color, and these are only $6 a ball. They're not super expensive. So even if you're making the 3XL, you're looking at like less than $60 for a sweater. That's not bad. And you know, it's lightweight, it has great drape, it's very forgiving, and this is all like stockinette. So, except for there's a touch of ribbing down at the bottom, and there'll be a touch of ribbing in the button band, but super easy knit if you're looking for a lightweight sweater for the fall. So, I don't know, is there anything else I need to tell you? Slow Yarn Crawl, you have a couple weeks left, so make sure that you are getting your final purchases in. If you are entering the online couch crawl, you can send me your entries and your photos. Those need to be in no later than like September 15th-ish, because that's when we're going to be looking at those names to pull the prizes for Slow Yarn Crawl. What else do we have going on? Oh, yeah, Wednesday I'm going to be talking about fit, sweaters and fit. And then next Monday I want to talk a little bit about weaving with the Minute Weaver. So I dug mine out to play with. And then what else do I want to talk about? There's all kinds of stuff to talk about, right? There's always things that I can show you. If you have an idea, please drop me a message. It's Kelly with an I, Kelli, @ blacksheep@orenco.com, blacksheep@orenco.com. Oh good, Charlie vacated. Or you can leave a message on the Facebook page, you can leave a message on YouTube, with ideas for what you would like me to teach, because I'm here to teach you. And I'm trying to think of fun things and interesting things, useful things, but I can always use your help. I can always use your help in coming up with ideas. So if there is something that you can think of, please let me know. I'm thinking of doing a pattern sale. We're talking about making up some more kits. So all kinds of fun stuff going on at Black Sheep in the next few weeks. And I am going to head out now, and hopefully you will join me again on Wednesday about the same time. And we will talk about sweaters and fit, and maybe if I'm lucky I will have enough of this done that I can show you buttonholes, but don't hold your breath, it'll probably be the following week. Anyway, until next time, stay safe, stay crafting, make sure you're wearing your mask, take care of yourself, please. Please take care of yourself, mentally and physically. Your emotional well-being is very important too. And keep crafting. Make sure that you're shopping at blacksheepfiberemporium.com, that you have liked the Facebook page so you get notifications about when we go live. Make sure that you have subscribed to the YouTube channel if you prefer videos that way, so that you know when we put up a new video. And again, let me know if there's something you want me to teach. I'm here to teach you. You just have to tell me what you want to learn. So until next time, like I said, stay safe, keep crafting, and take care of yourself.